In this video, we play 6 iconic link-style courses in the Emerald Isle, including what some consider to be the #1 rated course in the world, Royal County Down. Enjoy the beauty and the frustration of playing link-style golf in Ireland. Hope you enjoy. We started from our base in Northern California, flew to Dublin, Ireland. We flew directly on Aer Lingus, about a 9-hour flight. Flight was not totally full, and service was fine. We had a few hours in the afternoon on the first day in Dublin, so we saw some of the sights in downtown. On our first day, we drove outside of Dublin about 30 minutes and played the Island Golf Club. The Island is a classic link-style course built in the late 1800s. It used to be separated from the mainland until the 1970s when they built a road to connect it. Apparently you had to take a boat to get there previously. According to one of the caddies, the isolation was in response to a ban on golf on Sundays in Ireland, so the boat meant only certain people could reach the course on Sundays. Don't know if that's true, but it's a good story. Like I said, it's a classic link-style layout, lots of pot bunkers, even some wildlife appearing at various times. This is the 10th hole at the turn. Mostly a flat course, but some dunes. This is the 18th hole. Overall, very nice course, definitely worth playing. After the island, we drove from Ireland into Northern Ireland. Spent a couple nights at the Galgorm Resort. Very nice resort, former what I'd call manor house next to a nice road. From there, we proceeded up to the north to play the first Northern Ireland course, Castle Rock. Castle Rock's what I'd consider the most western of the 3 courses on the north coast of Northern Ireland, Portrush being the farthest east, and Portstewart, and then Castle Rock. Again, a very classic link-style layout, lots of dunes, more hilly, but overall very much in the link style. Some holes had a little water feature running right in front of the green, made the approach shot somewhat challenging. When you get up on the hills, you get some great views. The next day, we crossed the river and played the course called Portstewart. Portstewart has hosted the Irish Open as late as 2017, and I believe they're supposed to get it again in a couple of years. Again, it's right by the Atlantic Ocean. You've got the beach just below, and a very beautiful setting. This is the first hole at Portstewart. Really, Portstewart I'd consider to be 2 separate 9 holes. The first 9 is set amongst these towering dunes, just spectacular holes, really classic golf, blind shots, just really an iconic link-style course. This is a view we took from the championship tees, which are way back in the dunes. And you can see the dunes in the foreground. And then below, you can see some of the back 9, which is a little bit flatter, a little more exposed to the wind. Still a nice 9 holes, but the first 9 are really spectacular here at Portstewart. This is on the back 9. From Portstewart, we drove south through Belfast and stayed at the Donard Hotel in a town called Newcastle. This Donard Hotel was built in the late 1800s, kind of a classic style, again, right by the sea. You can see this tall spire, and it comes into effect on the Royal County Down we'll see in a few minutes. The next day we drove to a course called Ardglass. This one has a medieval fort as the clubhouse. There's an interesting sign here you'll see in a second. Pretty classic link style layout, but really no buffer from the winds. And the wind was blowing pretty hard that day, probably up to about 20 miles an hour. Some of the shots require forced carries over some chasms. Good views. This is the 18th hole. You can see it heading back to the clubhouse. Nice course, probably not my favorite, but a nice links. The next day, we got to play Royal County Down. It's literally about a 100-yard walk from the hotel. See some of the sights in the clubhouse, including pictures of a young Rory McIlroy and Graham McDowell that played there. This is the walk towards the first tee, out on the driving range. My buddy wearing his +4s. See a shot out towards the golf course. Once you play it, you really get a sense of why it's the considered one of the top-rated courses in the world. Just really a special feeling when you're out there. Hidden bunkers everywhere, sand dunes, firm and fast greens, not too undulating, but just a great experience. You can see one of the holes panning back. I believe this is the 7th hole. See back towards the clubhouse and the town. Bunkers, classic link style, challenging shots. Lots of gorse, although they try to cut it back. They have made it more playable for amateurs. And it's just a fun course to play. This is towards the end. I believe this is the 18th hole. If you look closely, you can see a spire in the background. That's the hotel we were staying at. Really a magical experience and worth playing. From there, we drove back to Dublin. The next day, we got up, played a course just outside Dublin called Portmarnock. Monarchs obviously got some history. You can see a result with Arnold Palmer and Sam Snead, who won a tournament there in 1960. Of course, when we got there, it was pouring rain. I thought it would be a total washout. After we teed off in the rain, though, the weather cleared, and it ended up being a pretty nice day overall. Bunkers, again, classic link style. Wife didn't quite get up and down out of that bunker. Pretty flat course overall. You don't have the towering dunes like you do in some of the courses, but I'd say condition-wise, this was by far the most well-conditioned course of all the ones we played. The greens were just spectacular. Scenery great. Even, again, a little bit of wildlife there in the foreground. Pheasants running around. Holes have some great bunkering, requiring some challenging approach shots. Again, right by the ocean. The only thing I would say is right on the flight path of the airport coming into Dublin. You hear the planes going overhead quite a bit. But again, just a spectacular course. Lots of gorse, lots of fescue. After the golf, we flew the next day back home on Aer Lingus. Overall, we had a great time. Highly recommend it. Would do it again. Thanks for watching. See you next time.